big fighting that Ocracoke itself will get early in the war is German U-boat warfare off of this coastline. And it is going to be a serious problem for the United States war effort. The U.S. has just entered the war after Pearl Harbor in December 1941. And throughout the early months of 1942, the Germans sink a total of almost 90 ships off of the Outer Banks in North Carolina. From about March to May, they're sinking about a ship a day, 60 ships in 2 months. Really not good for the U.S. war effort, noticed by U.S. High Command, and for a little while, the U.S. is trying to throw anything they can at the wall, sending Army units, Navy units, Coast Guard to this area to try and figure out how to stop the German units. Now, the war is going to hit this area hard personally in a few cases. There are some locals who are on merchant ships that are sunk off of this coastline. One even has his boating ID wash up on the shore and be found by his cousin, and that's how his cousin found out that he probably died out at sea. So it can be really personal for some of the people around here. And one of those instances is with the ship, the HMT Bedfordshire. It was docked in Morehead City for a time, came through this area. A Navy intelligence officer in the area had actually made friends with a lieutenant on the ship, a guy named Thomas Cunningham, about a month before this. And Lieutenant Cunningham, he was giving a British flag to this Navy intelligence officer, Mr. Brown, who was responsible for burying some of the dead who washed up on these beaches. And Lieutenant Cunningham gave him a few extra British flags in case he needed them. About a month later, Brown was brought in order to try and identify a couple of bodies that had been washed up on the surf of Ocracoke Island. And he says that his face dropped in horror when he discovered that one of them was his friend, Lieutenant Cunningham, who he ultimately buried in that same flag that he had given him about a month earlier. So this is going to be a really personal sinking for some of the people of Ocracoke. The HMT Bedfordshire off of this coastline, all hands ultimately lost, and 4 bodies are going to wash up on this shoreline. The townspeople will ultimately bury them. 2 of them, Lieutenant Cunningham and Private Stanley Craig, are identified. The other 2 are not. We don't know which ones they were. But they are going to be buried at our British cemetery in town. You can still visit it. It's a very small cemetery, and a British Royal Navy ensign still flies, a flag flies above that cemetery to this day. The British Royal Navy sends men to commemorate it each year on the anniversary in May, and it is still a proud and sad part of our town's history that we were involved in this war, and that we helped bury the British dead who floated up here on Ocracoke Island.